Just a reminder from your friendly neighborhood metalhead, if you like what you see, don't forget to click like and subscribe to the Heavy Underground. Taking in the view from a skybox seat at Mr. Small's Theater, the crowd begins to fill in for the night's show. A well-attended audience for Corrosion of Conformity's February 21st, 2019 concert takes their place for a night of heavy groove and rollicking Southern fried heaviness, joined by Dallas-based stoners Mothership, New Orleans' Miscreant Sons Crowbar, and the Doom Prophet himself, Wino, and his long-tenured, highly influential band The Obsessed. North Carolina's Corrosion of Conformity have reunited with singer and guitarist Pepper Keenan for a new album and tour. Released last year, No Cross, No Crown finds the band returning to their most prominent era with Pepper at the helm. After several years operating as a power trio, founding members Mike Dean and Woody Weatherman are joined by the returning Brother Keenan and newcomer Merritt Partridge on drums. Unfortunately, health issues have necessitated founding drummer Reed Mullins' periodic absence from the band in recent years, but Merritt is an ably adept fill-in for the substantial drum throne of Brother Mullen. Up first, Mothership from Dallas, Texas, lay down their bottom-heavy boogie with no hesitation. Formed in 2010, Mothership have honed their attack through incessant touring over the past 9 years, and their 3 full-length releases show a growing prowess for the band's hard-rocking stoner stomp. Led by brothers Kyle and Kells Jewett on bass and guitar respectively, and Judge Smith on drums, the brother Jewett also trade off in a vocal scramble for this robust power trio. Lunar Master from their 2013 debut album powers from the stage first. With a sly intent, Lunar Master pours from the stage as the swelling Pittsburgh crowd settles in for a night of back pocket groove and earnest stagecraft. A guitar solo cascades from Kells' fingers as the song journeys forth from the stage. Hot Smoke and Heavy Blues from 2014's Mothership 2 full length charges forth next. Soon the song's momentum churns into a tuneful mire of quicksand riffs and engulfing ambience. Wistful passages permeate the song and a soaring solo rises from Kells before Hot Smoke and Heavy Blues draws the engaging song to a close. Briefly addressing the crowd, Kyle thanks the audience and the other bands on the bill before tearing into their next song, Crown of Lies, from Mothership's most recent slab of stoner might, High Strangeness. A lurking track that circles with assured malevolence, Crown of Lies breaks into a riff of suspended momentum that pours from the speakers like a backwards record. A screaming solo artfully winds through the song's claustrophobic pull. A hard-rocking set from these Dallas Heshers ends with the pugnacious crunch of Angel of Death, a curdling number from the band's debut. Angel of Death's measured riffs pound from the speakers, and an ever-so-brief interlude emerges for Kells to introduce his brother Kyle on bass and vocals and Judge Smith on drums before descending into the crushing tide once again to wrangle the song to a petulant close. With a crushing 4-song set establishing the standard for the evening's festivities, a gritty swagger permeates the band's performance as Mothership drop a 25-minute session of rollicking stoner groove. Drawing from all 3 albums of churning metal molasses, Mothership's aggressive stoner stomp plays to a growing and receptive audience. As Lunar Master slides from the stage with devious intent to start the show, the next song, Hot Smoke and Heavy Blues, gets caught in a quicksand embrace. Searing solos from Brother Kells cut to the quick throughout the band's set, and crashing drums from Judge Smith only bolster the bounding bass of Brother Kyle thundering underneath it all. Around the halfway point of their set, Crown of Lies roils in reverse, belying the hidden malevolence that underlies the song. Angel of Death, no, not that Angel of Death, ends the set with irascible fury as Mothership deliver a red-hot performance teeming with simmering energy and a stone-cold malevolent groove. Next, the living Doom legend himself, Scott Wino Weinrich, returns to the Berg with his longtime band The Obsessed. Deploying a set of classic Doom greatness, Wino is joined by Reed Rayleigh on bass and Brian Constantino on drums. Marking one of the most consistent lineups for The Obsessed, this potent power trio has shared the stage together since 2016. Up first, Climate of Despair rises from the stage to begin the set from this legendary band. Climate of Despair's deliberate plod soon gives way to a roaring solo from Brother Weinrich near the song's 2-minute mark. Wino's guitar soars with a forceful gale before resuming the song's slow and purposeful grind to the end. Next, Morning from 1994 emerges from Climate's demise, another slow and methodical slog through the philosophically doomed mind of Wino. Morning growls with Reed Rayleigh's cavernous bass powering underneath. Skybone slowly lumbers to life next. Another classic track from The Church Within, Skybone roils with strength and grace as Wino twists his guitar into sublimely psychedelic shapes and forms. Exquisite wah-wah abuse punctuates the song with dramatic flourishes. Brian Constantino's drum work marches forward through Skybone's unassuming grandeur and into the halting pressure of The Way She Flies. A destructive tone from the stringed instruments only adds to the song's gritty delivery as Wino and the boys wrangle The Way She Flies to the ground on a gravelly run-through of this 1990 classic. 2016's Sacred ambles forth next with a gentle squall before opening into a full-throated doom roar. Pulling forward with a knowing momentum, Sacred offers a next-level groove for the fanatics in attendance. Percolating rhythm from brothers Rayleigh and Constantino bolsters the impact of Wino's authoritative guitar solo when it emerges from Sacred's stone groove. Yet another vintage classic from The Church Within follows Sacred. Streetside rolls with a tidal force as the band churn through this number with barely restrained buoyancy. Wino's voice provides wizened guidance as Streetside's burrowing insistence surrounds the audience with a deft and nimble sonic saturation. Next, To Protect and to Serve rails against the abuse of authority with an uplifting gait, and Wino's enlightened lyrical insight leading the charge offers a commanding protest that rips a blazing hole through the night's performance. To Protect and to Serve from The Church Within is followed by yet another song from this 25-year-old slab of doom greatness. A World Apart rages out of the gate before repeatedly diverging into a pensive groove, offering only a slight bit of comfort amongst the song's virulent moments. A World Apart's brief hostility sets the stage for the sprawling doom sojourn of Neat's Brigade. The final song of the night for The Obsessed, Neat's Brigade ends the set with another heavy rumination on life from the doom philosopher himself. Solid rhythmic propulsion from brothers Rayleigh and Constantino strengthens and supports the hefty sinew of Wino's six-string alchemy and the liberating realization of his knowing voice. Scrambling and searching, Neat's Brigade twists through the venue for a 7-minute epic sweep of doomed brilliance. Celebrating 25 years since the release of The Church Within, The Obsessed offers the audience a set heavy on this classic 1994 album, with only 2016's Sacred and The Way She Fly from the band's self-titled 1990 full-length representing the band's broader catalog. A deliberate and methodical slow-motion action begins the show with 1994's Climate of Despair leading the pack. Morning continues the band's doom charge with cavernous bass from Reed Rayleigh powering underneath. Wino twists a myriad of psychedelic affronts from his guitar on Skybone, while Streetside churns with elemental force, and to protect and to serve calls power and authority to account. Next, A World Apart rages incandescent for a brief moment before the epic close of Neat's Brigade ends the obsessed all-too-short set with alchemical brilliance. An illuminating set from one of the greatest musical forces of the last 4 decades, the music of Scott Wino Weinrich never ceases to amaze. Harnessing the power of his long-running brainchild, The Obsessed, Wino enlightens the audience with a deft conflagration of philosophical musings while crushing the audience beneath a fluid musical wave of melodic distortion and graceful doom. Wielding a weighted doom cudgel, Crowbar crushes the audience under waves of Leviathan heft and subterranean melody. Led by the inimitable Kirk Winstein, Crowbar has spent nearly 30 years submerging the world under waves of glacial riffs and overwhelming atmospheric heaviness. With Tommy Buckley on drums since 2005, Matthew Brunson handling second guitar duties since 2009, and touring bassist Shane Wesley, Brother Winstein's current iteration of Crowbar prepares to unleash a brutal battery of gloom and doom on the teeming Pittsburgh crowd. With a wall of distortion and feedback, New Orleans' Sludge Lords Crowbar make their entrance. Greeting the assembled horde, Kirk Winstein leads his band of misfits into the 1993 classic All I Had, I Gave. Clattering drums from Tommy Buckley and viscous guitars from Kirk and Matthew Brunson swirl through the room. Next, and Suffer Is One from the band's 1998 album Odd Fellows Rest lurches from the speakers. A quagmire of descending riffs, and Suffer Is One ensnares the audience, while Brother Buckley's bombastic drums underpin the song with a haranguing momentum. To Build a Mountain follows next in an unsettled hurry. Soon, a destructive, slow-motion breakdown churns the crowd into oblivion before a sorrowful double guitar interplay rises from the gloom. The chilling guitar work elicits its desired effect before To Build a Mountain draws to a feedback-laced close. Kirk Winstein growls a greeting from the stage before a wall of noise heralds the open of the Cemetery Angels. The Cemetery Angels charges forward with urgency. Unleashing this roaring barn burner, Crowbar pulverizes the crowd with blistering speed before descending into slow motion, skull-crushing destruction to end the song. Next, Walk with Knowledge Wisely berates the audience. Crushing atmospherics highlight this song, and brief moments of sickly guitar melody rise to the surface. The title pull of Walk with Knowledge Wisely delivers a hefty dose of doomed gravity, more than adequate to overcome any potential for melodic overload. With the largest proportion of the night's set drawn from 1998's Odd Fellows Rest, 3 whole songs in total, in fact, To Carry the Load soon follows. Another low-speed Leviathan, To Carry the Load delivers a spidery swamp crawl that overwhelms with wandering riff theatrics and a bruising delivery punch. Planets Collide slowly congeals from the stage following To Carry the Load. Kirk's gritty rasp roars above the song's swirling crawl as punishing riffs cycle in first gear. Slow motion heft saturates the crowd on Planets Collide as Crowbar descend into a gravitational depression on this crushing tome of celestial severity. Thanking the other bands on the bill, Brother Winstein and his band prepare for their final song of the night. With a final Crowbar chant rising from the audience, the New Orleans Legends hurtle headlong into Like Broken Glass from 1996. Riffs twist in reverse on this labyrinthine sludge classic as the band slowly throttles the last gasp of hope from the audience. Unhurried malice and weighted riffs crush the audience on this, the final song of Crowbar's domineering 45-minute set. Thick and weighted riffs spill forth as Crowbar open their set with All I Had I Gave. This sludge classic soon gives way to And Suffer as One, as Brother Winstein leads his New Orleans Heshers on a slow-moving, soul-crushing journey. Next, To Build a Mountain distracts the audience with some melancholy double guitar interplay before fading into a feedback-laced close. Emerging from the closing noise, the Cemetery Angels rages from the stage next. Weathering a blistering opening screed, the Cemetery Angels soon descends into a crushing, glacially paced gravity well to bring the song to a bruising end. Walk with Knowledge Wisely follows, with muted melodic tendencies being overwhelmed by the song's hefty weight. Culled from Crowbar's Odd Fellows Rest album, To Carry the Load offers a musical rumination that crawls with labyrinthine riffs and suppressive atmosphere. Nearing the end of their set, Planets Collide congeals with a punishing low-gear slog and Kirk's gravelly roar taking its place at the front of the band's burly attack. Closing their show with 1996's Like Broken Glass, twisting riffs seem to move in reverse as this unhurried sludge destructor chokes the air and any lingering feelings of hope from the room. A domineering 45-minute set from these New Orleans doomed sludge masters crushes the audience under waves of desolate guitar, thundering drums, and Brother Winstein's gruff vocal intonations. Emotional resonance and brutal gravitational heft mark this outstanding set from the legendary Crowbar. With a long and winding history reaching back to the band's ascent to regional hardcore hegemony in 1982, Corrosion of Conformity's Woody Weatherman, Mike Dean, and Reed Mullen have spent over 3.5 decades advancing the band's unique and iconic presence. From the band's early hardcore rage through their late 80s sharpened crossover attack, Mike and Woody, along with the noticeably absent Reed Mullen, have carved a uniquely independent path with the band's shifting palette and focus. The addition of the murky Southern Fried lens of Pepper Keenan in 1989 added a tuneful swagger to the band's heady and ever-expanding home brew. Alternating between 3- and 4-piece configurations in recent years has allowed Woody, Mike, and sometimes Reed to indulge more rambunctious and borderline psychedelic tendencies, while also having the option of opening the band up for a rip-roaring, pepper-powered rock throwdown, equal with the best of them. Heralded albums from both sides of the corrosive coin and clamoring hordes of adherents in attendance for tours featuring both iterations of these iconic nonconformists have found recent years only solidifying the respect and admiration for North Carolina's favorite bastard sons. Taking the stage to ZZ Top's 1973 blues burner LaGrange, the periodically reunited 4-piece extra value meal edition of Corrosion of Conformity greets the packed crowd at Mr. Small's Theater. Soon enough, the band's ascendant intro breaks wide open into Stonebreaker. A buoyant current of hard-hitting riffs propels this churlish track from 2005 through the fray. Pepper's Southern Fried Rasp roars strong over the band's seasoned din as Stonebreaker opens the show with an impactful punch. Bounding energy highlights this song from the band's In the Arms of God full length as Corrosion of Conformity begin the night in incendiary fashion. With barely a moment's separation, Wiseblood unfurls from the stage next. Drawing from the band's 1996 release of the same name, Wiseblood swings and pummels the assembled audience with well-practiced chops from this long-running North Carolina powerhouse. Oozing a murky, southern fried charm, Wise Blood is celebrated with rapturous applause rising from the crowd. A quick thank you from Pepper, and the band is off to the races again. A spry and nimble run through Wolf Named Crow follows. Wolf Named Crow from 2018's No Cross, No Crown is on loan from the band's first album, with Pepper Keenan behind the microphone since 2005. Leveling the place with their patented Southern rock style taking the spotlight, a near unhinged pseudo-psychedelic swirl still creeps into the band's mojo around the edges. This expansive songcraft represents a clear nod to Woody, Reed, and Mike's potent power trio configuration from the past decade or so. A heavy buoyancy bolsters Wolf Named Crow, while a slyly understated solo from Woody Weatherman roars under the surface to profound effect. Born Again for the Last Time next hurtles into the Millvale night. A sweeping heaviness waxes and wanes on this Wise Blood classic as the almighty COC roil the night air in a reflectively crushing waltz. Brother Partridge's drums pound in a disjointed lockstep with the band's halting swing. A mid-song breakdown allows them to indulge in a moment of glorious noise before winding the song through its rejuvenated final minutes. A solid bass rumble from Mike Dean undergirds the fatalistic crunch of the song's contemplative entreaty. The next song is Woody's choice, and the criminally underrated guitar rapscallion lurches into the door. Also from Wise Blood, a defiant rocker with a bottom-heavy bounce, the door pummels the crowd with a deft southern drawl that barely relents from beginning to end. From a croak to a croon to a cantankerous shout, Pepper Keenan's vocals boom from the PA, and Woody Weatherman's powerful narrative solo highlights this quick-paced tub thumper. Diablo Boulevard, from the band's millennial release, slithers from the stage following the door. Slyly shifting riffs and a heavy-hitting percussive attack push and pull this sinister track from the band's 2000 release, America's Volume Dealers. A musty, swamp-drenched funk permeates the song as an elastic rhythm stretch carries in and out of Diablo Boulevard. Twisting through the audience with a sinister, slow-swirling groove, Diablo winds a nefarious course through this reformed house of worship. Brother Partridge takes to his kit to open the next song. A pensive churn through It Is That Way soon has the crowd singing along with the song's memorable refrain of resignation. Gravitational riffs that would bring a grin to Kirk Winstein's bearded scowl permeate the song, and Woody contorts a suitably disjointed solo from the ether before the song shifts into a deeper level of doom-addled grind. Bringing a powerhouse close to the planetary heft of It Is That Way, Corrosion of Conformity demonstrates the lethality learned in almost 4 decades of prowess and power. After a quick residency pull, Pepper introduces the next song. The oldest song in tonight's set, Vote with a Bullet, greets the crowd across 28 eventful years. Pulled from the band's iconic 1991 release Blind, this timeless classic roars through the crowd with a visceral effect. Vote with a Bullet seethes from the speakers with ageless potency, and pulsing guitars screech and scream into the night as the band deliver this everlasting song with destructive authority. A chorus of woos fills Mr. Smalls in response to Brother Keenan going for the cheap pop. Naturally, with a bruising heft, 7 Days opens with a dose of oppression before dropping into a more contemplative gear. An epic sweep rises and falls through the song with the crowd responding in electric fashion. This reflective crusher from the outstanding 1994 album Deliverance weaves itself through the crowd as thick waves of sonic heft surge from the speakers. A solo from Brother Woody rails from deep within the mire before the song's final pass breaks open into a foot-stomping throwdown that finds Brother Weatherman laying down another impactful solo break. The ending squeal of 7 Days offers a quick turnaround before COC barrel headlong into the barn-burning opening minutes of Paranoid Opioid, the second track from 2005's In the Arms of God. The quick-paced brutality soon gives into a hard pummeling agitation, the song's continuing through its descent with a harrowing drop into a bone-crushing backwater swirl. Marked by the Weatherman's seasoned lead guitar work, the song's loose and lethal middle passage gives way to a penultimate roaring pursuit to clobber Paranoid Opioid to its end, with one final incendiary run. Settling in for a slow burn, 13 Angels opens its time with a phased guitar call. Weaving a glacial path through the night, this brooding musical contemplation from America's volume dealers drops a pondering doom crawl into the second half of the set. Woody's solo break finds Mike Dean's powerful bass working its slow-motion heaviness with depth and authority before Brother Keenan's molasses draw returns to usher the song back up to its tectonic-paced crush in the final go-round. As a chorus of COC chants fill Mr. Smalls, Pepper thanks the crowd, the other bands on the bill, and of course their merch witch. She'll take your money and your soul, don't you know. Following the thoughtful crawl of 13 Angels, an up-tempo foot stomper follows. Who's Got the Fire, also from America's Volume Dealers, plows its way through the crowd. An energetic rocker, Who's Got the Fire, hits with a swinging crunch as COC deliver a rollicking good time, before Albatross rises to bring the main set to a close. Albatross, introduced as a song about getting high, is received with wild cheers and a fervent sing-along. The audience clamors with unwavering support for this classic song from the band's breakout Deliverance album. Reducing the song's normal speed just a bit for extra heavy effect, Albatross crushes like a caustic bulldozer. Riffs hang suspended in mid-air before hammering down with a tidal strength, picking up the pace for the briefest of moments at the end before bringing the song to a triumphant close to end the primary set. As the COC chants grow louder and louder, the band returns to the stage for an encore. A brief problem with radio interference finds quick resolution, and Pepper Keenan is ready to rock. Introduced as a song they have not played in a long time, 1994's Migraine flays the audience open with a targeted roar. Racing forth to open the song, brief melody rises to the surface before returning to the roar again. Migraine explodes with a rapturous solo energizing the crowd for the song's final hustle. This little extra oomph only sharpens the band's attack as Migraine comes to a close, ending a rip-roaring night with the 1994 standard Clean My Wounds. Corrosion of Conformity tear into another classic track from Deliverance. Hard-hitting drums from Merritt and Mike's insistent bass propel the song forward, while escalating riffs rise from Pepper and Woody to scrape and claw their way through the speakers. An expansive, mid-song jam allows the band to have some fun with themselves and the audience. Some psyched-out guitar fireworks from Brother Woody accompany some airtight musical interplay from Pepper, Mike, and Merritt. Band introductions are made by Pepper, and even a brief reggae exposition finds a home in the mix. Soon enough, everyone pulls back together to crush Clean My Wounds to a satisfying conclusion, bringing an end to both an invigorating run-through of this 25-year-old classic and, unfortunately, the concert itself. Returning to the Pittsburgh area for a cantankerous good time on February 21st, Corrosion of Conformity opened the show with an impactful punch. 2005's Stonebreaker bounds from the stage first with near jubilant execution. A high-energy delivery highlights the song before turning up the band's turbid southern charm with Wise Blood. The quick turnaround into this 1996 track keeps the momentum at an excitable pace as the veteran band dominates the stage from the start. Having recently rejoined the band, Pepper Keenan's outstanding 2018 return album, No Cross, No Crown, is represented tonight with only a single song, Wolf Named Crow. Adopting a few mind-bending tricks from their journeys as a power trio, Wolf Named Crow offers a more expansive take on their patented Southern-style Sabbathian machinations. Keeping with the night's more nostalgic inclinations, the band returns to their Wise Blood release with the graceful crunch of Born Again for the Last Time. A noisy excursion finds a home in this elegant number before a revitalized rundown ends the song. Mike Dean's bass rises to the surface over and over again throughout the night, pushing in and out of and around the edges with carefree zeal. Turning to Woody Weatherman for the next song selection, the band proceeds to crash through the obstinate rocker, The Door. Woody Weatherman's exceptional prowess with the guitar is on full display tonight, and a narrative solo highlights this galloping classic from 1996. Following The Door, Merritt Partridge's powerful percussion pushes and pulls the music forward with methodical flair as a sinister elasticity underpins Diablo Boulevard. A fetid funk suffuses Diablo Boulevard as it slowly twists through the audience. With an opening drum flurry, It Is That Way garners a loud response from the crowd when the song's signature refrain rises from the crushing gravitational pull. A spasmodic solo from Brother Weatherman winds in and out before the song descends into a lower and slower gear to bring It Is That Way to a hefty close. Marking the beginning of Brother Keenan's recorded hit tenure with the band, 1991's absolutely essential release Blind offers up the incendiary Vote with a Bullet to an eager audience. This reunion with Pepper Keenan puts a focus on his early days with the band on this raging classic. With perpetual relevance, Vote with a Bullet careens through the speakers as a gnash of guitar and vocal venom drive the song home. The more ruminative 7 Days follows. Drawn from '94's Deliverance album, 7 Days bears the eloquent traces of Woody Weatherman's guitar throughout. One solo reaches from the deep with the musical mire, before 7 Days' foot-stomping close draws out one more expressive solo from Woody's experienced hands. Ratcheting up the intensity, a blitzkrieg run-through of Paranoid Opioid follows the pensive 7 Days. A backwater swirl crushes the crowd's senses for a moment before tearing open into a roaring blaze as Paranoid Opioid assaults with a final blister. Slowly phasing guitars weave into the night as 13 Angels gets underway. Brother Dean's omnipotent bass controls the song as COC levels the assembled crowd with a tectonic level crush on 13 Angels. Pepper's viscous vocal delivery rises near the song's end to conduct this 2005 doom-infused gem to a crushing close. Up next, a song about getting high. 1994's Albatross lurches forth. Played at a slowed pace, a languid albatross bulldozes through the speakers with added weight before catching up to speed in the song's final moments. Closing the main set with full crowd participation, Albatross has the audience loudly singing along as Pepper and the boys leave their fans wanting more. Acquiescing to the ravenous chants of COC, the band soon returns to the stage for an encore. Announcing that the next song has not been played in a very long time, the assembled faithful are rewarded with an extra song on the night. Next, the roiling vortex of Migraine rails forcefully from the stage to open the encore. Latent melody and yet another ecstatic solo from the Weatherman spotlight this 1994 classic. Ending the concert with another sonic exemplar from Deliverance, Clean My Wounds caps a rousing encore with Brother Partridge's drums and Brother Dean's bass impelling the song forward. A mid-song jam session delays the inevitable, with Pepper's band introductions, some brilliant musical interplay, including a brief reggae diversion interjecting, before refocusing the band's energy to drive the song to a powerful conclusion. While tonight, the band's crossover greatness and hardcore roots cede the spotlight to their later era zest for rocking hooks and a southern swagger, the impact is no less impressive. A powerful performance from one of the most unique and invigorating bands in the heavy music world, Corrosion of Conformity are equally at home, pushing the boundaries where crossover and psychedelic Venn diagrams intersect, as well as reveling in full-throated hard rock songcraft. Pepper Keenan evinces a gravel-throated southern rock troubadour with his melody-infused gruffness, while one of the most underrated guitarists in the history of music, Woody Weatherman, deals out hefty riffs and mind-bending solos with ease. The bass monster Mike Dean holds down the low end in his own understated and also underestimated way, and Merritt Partridge fills the bombastic drum throne of Reed Mullen with grace and destructive power. Charging through a 15-song set, Corrosion of Conformity spearhead an outstanding night of crushing melody and reflective heaviness, beginning with the bottom-heavy swagger of Mothership and continuing through the veteran doom excellence of The Obsessed. The night's festivities kick off with a rousing 1-2 punch. Crowbar steps in next to overwhelm the crowd with a depressive, dirge-filled set before North Carolina's Pride and Joy, Corrosion of Conformity, roar through the venue with a determined Southern rock swagger. Drawing an excellent turnout for an absolutely formidable lineup, the night moves from strength to strength with no room for weakness. Corrosion of Conformity perfectly headline an impressive lineup of bands that should stand as one of the most well-rounded and impactful tours of 2019.